As much as I find the supernatural stuff to be interesting, I genuinely just don't believe it to be true. Because think about it. Do you know how different of a planet we would live on if supernatural entities were real? Like, I'm pretty sure, like, if invisible ghosts or demons like were like willing to fuck with you, they would be doing a lot more than simply knocking stuff off of counters. Bitch, they will be throwing entire cars at you. They will be throwing entire buildings into your apartment building. If they wanted to do damage to you, it would be a whole lot more destructive than what we would see in movies. Do you know how powerful some of these entities are? Like, I'm pretty sure I remember reading something in the Bible where it mentioned that an angel's voice shook the very earth itself. Like, that's how powerful some of these entities are. You know, because demons are basically fallen angels, and there was literally nothing in the Bible that mentioned that they actually, like, you know, underwent any sort of physical change. So we can safely assume that demons have the same appearance as angels. But yeah, if that paranormal activity stuff actually existed, we would be living on an entirely different planet. Like, fuck terrorizing like a single family. They will be terrorizing entire neighborhoods. They will literally be leveling entire cities. And it was also implied that they do have like the same emotions or similar emotions to humans. They just don't have a moral compass. But then that also leads me to wonder, like, imagine if one of them were to have a mental breakdown. Like, I'm pretty sure we would lose an entire city. Also, if these entities were real, like, what would be the likelihood of them colonizing other planets? Or just simply just living in isolation? Because like with every group, it's easy to assume that they'll just be losing members or gaining new members like all the time. Or just one having just a mentality of, wait a minute, I don't have to do this. I can just leave and then just go fly out into space somewhere. Because we have no idea what happens like in the aftermath of the Bible. Like, for all we know, they could just have an entire society on Mars or something. That actually would be the perfect premise for like a fantasy sci-fi novel though. And if those entities did exist, like, and they were just wandering around planet Earth, how many of them do you think would actually be interested in anime? Because imagine if they attempted the Kamehameha. That would make the planet even more scary. Also, am I the only one that finds it odd that, like, you can summon a demon, but you can't summon an angel? You think help would be a lot more easier to summon. But I also imagine that if we could, like, Jesus Christ, I need to stop saying, like, we'll be seeing YouTube videos titled, I made an angel and a demon fight to the death. Now this is good content, or some stuff like that. Plus, those things being real would also imply the existence of magic. And if you think the existence of entities would drastically change the course of human history, imagine if we lived in a world where magic existed. Because with the amount of time the Bible has mentioned magic and witchcraft and like sorcery and stuff, are you implying that people can do magic? Are you implying that somewhere on planet Earth there is a D&D group LARPing with actual magic? But I mean, it can be argued that the mention of witchcraft can be a metaphor for technological advancement. But if that is to be taken literally, I would be going to the circus more often, and not just because I'm a clown. Can you imagine how entertaining the Soul Circus would be, like if actual Harry Potter style magic was introduced into their stunts? Because if magic was real, I'm pretty sure we'll be seeing superheroes show up too. Because, you know, with things like fire magic and electrical magic, you'll be seeing a bunch of wannabe superheroes show up, and supervillains, a lot of supervillains. And I think slavery would end much more differently if magic was a factor. Can you imagine how advanced human technology would be if magic was a thing though? I mean, that could be an entire video on its own. That's interesting. But anyway, like, that's all I have to say. So in short, the reason I don't believe in the supernatural is because the implications of it would be so great and would change our planet drastically. Like, we would be living in the SCP universe if that was the case. And when we mention ghosts or like possessed dolls, I feel we focus more on the fact that it terrifies us other than like the logical implications that it would have. And it's a shame because that's the most interesting part about it. I mean, can you imagine if reincarnation was a thing? Because what would that say about death? Like, will we take life for granted at that point? Would nihilism be justified? I don't know. Or what if neither of those things was true and we truly are just alone in the universe? And what would that mean for us? These are the type of existential discussions that I really want to see depicted more in media. I want to see a character have an existential crisis about coming to terms with the fact that everything they know about the universe is not how they thought it was. But the only things like we have that touches close to that is Hellstar by Junji Ito and Devilman Crybaby. But I can also see like why that's not being touched in media, because writing that is far too complex to a point where it can overtake the overall tone of the story. Can you imagine if Monster Musume focused heavily on that subject matter? It would completely destroy the tone of the series. Or in Helltaker, because focusing too much on that subject matter, that would just destroy the overall comedic tone it set. And it becomes less of a goofy story and more of a H.P. Lovecraft style philosophical type story, which would make it less enjoyable for many. But yeah, that's all I got to say. Bye.